Hello. What's going on with all of my friends in the audience?
I don't know what's going on with them.
I told you, like, I don't know how I do intros. It just kind of comes out, and I was just in my mood today. I think this is... Here to Joy. What are you talking? Oh, that's someone talking to Morgan.
Okay. Sorry to disappoint, but I was here first. The net's slow as shit in this wing of the school. No one else comes here if they don't have to, so it's a quiet spot to read. Yeah, it is a detective mystery. So what? Like 5% of the books in the library are? Well, it's not like I own the room. If you want to convene your club meetings here with all your many members, I can't exactly sue you. Especially not since you're going to be some big shot lawyer. Join your club so I won't get evicted? Isn't that like blackmail, counselor? Mutually beneficial, sure, so it's just plain old corruption. You'll do just fine out there in the adult world. Whatever. As long as you don't go around telling people I'm a member, you can put me down. We need to add our phone numbers too. No, I don't actually care.
Oh, why are we getting flashbacks of Morgan deciding to be in a detective club? Like, okay, I guess we should be 100% clear about this. There's always the possibility that it's kind of obfuscating the flashbacks. I don't think the game is trying to do that, but I guess it's technically a possibility since no one's dropped names, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see any reason to not assume Red is Morgan in those flashbacks. But why are we getting all those hints about her being in a detective club? We've shown, to be quite honest, Morgan seems very disinterested with the mystery solving end of things. She seems more interested in making sure that, like, that they can't be found. Like, and that's like the distinction between like a good mystery work and a good and the perfect crime, right? If there's no, the Morgan's goal is presumably to make sure that a crime is never started or a crime is never declared. Obviously, that can't happen in real life, but like, if she's leaving clever breadcrumb trails, then she's losing. The ideal case for her is that she kills someone and no one notices. Right? And that a mystery never begins. There is no beginning. So, I don't know. I'm not sure how I see the connection just yet of how that got from here to here.
Is something wrong, Adonai?
And why would you think that something's wrong?
It's very unusual for you to wake up mid-transit. When you decide to nap, you fall asleep very fast and you sleep very deeply. Suspiciously so. Sometimes I'll try to wake you and I could swear you're just pretending.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Sarah, maybe she just likes her alone time. Also, like, I don't know, when I'm in a car, I generally kind of nap because depending on where it is or how long it is, I could just get like headaches or road sick, right? So, might as well just take a nap.
Huh.
Besides, you're the one who's been quiet.
Huh. I had been bothering Sosuke, I think. Pestering him about, catching bullets.
If you were bothering Sosuke, he would say it. Turn to the side in that bitchy pose of his.
But I can't catch a bullet either. Even though I'm fast. And I can see fast.
The speed of light is the same for everyone, Sarah. No matter what your frame of reference is, actually.
Sosuke was the one who acted while I just...
Sosuke... Oh, you're holding yourself... Oh, okay. It's been a second since we recorded. So she's holding herself responsible for not doing more in the moment to help people during the shooting.
Yep.
Sosuke has trained his whole life for that exact kind of thing. Trained his whole life the way he tells it.
Father built me to be strong. I should be able to.
David didn't build you to be anything, Sarah. He didn't even really build you. He just watched you grow.
And do you think I am still growing? Still developing? You think I could get taller?
I think you shouldn't get your hopes up about that.
Oh.
Come on, you can bounce back faster than that.
I'm sorry. Suppose I am still processing what we saw back in the courtroom.
When Detective London took out that shooter?
I know that Detective London has been a police officer for many years. It stands to reason that he'd act decisively in circumstances where so many lives are at risk.
Oh, Sarah, you sweet summer child. Oh, Sarah, allow me to show you some archival footage. This is labeled Uvalde. Oh, man. I don't see how you could have seen the footage from that and not been immediately radicalized. Jesus Christ.
What I am still thinking about is the man he killed.
Yeah, but there's only so much speculating we could do about his motive until,
I am not thinking about his motive. I am thinking about how he is dead.
You haven't been out and about that long. Everything is new to you, even the most ordinary stuff. I don't know about that, Morgan. I feel like this is more Morgan projecting who she wants to be. You know, instead of admitting how affecting it is to see people die in that way. Because she wants to be, like, cold, detached, like, oh, I'm the emotionless murderer. But, she clearly has a soft spot that she doesn't like getting out. And I think maybe seeing someone die someone die near her and have her own close brush with death is maybe shaking her own belief in her own kind of unflappability. You know what I mean? I guess I forget that includes the extraordinary, too.
You've seen violence like that before, then?
Yes, I have.
You've seen people die?
Yes, I have.
Seen more people die than most your age? Most lawyers?
That's probably a safe bet.
This is a private subject, isn't it?
Death is always private. I am no exception.
Do people ever get used to it?
I can only speak for myself.
Okay, have you gotten used to it?
Every time is like the first time.
I hope that everyone is like you, then.
I mean, I see what... I mean, that's really funny, but also I see what Sarah means. Like,
Yeah.
death shouldn't be something you become... that you become, deadened to, right?
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't be something that loses emotional value or emotional impact. That is one of the most impactful things that can happen, and it shouldn't feel... It should never feel like... It shouldn't ever feel like just another thing. Because as soon as you've gotten there, then it's become so commonplace that something is fundamentally wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't seem like the kind of thing anyone should get used to.
You know what? I'm just gonna... put another quarter in the jar of times SK should have just pressed the forward button rather than speaking. Sorry to disappoint you, then. There are no people like me.
None?
Not even herself? I mean, I think that's just being a little weird, but... Hey!
Irashai.
Irashai. Irashai.
To what do I owe the pleasure of hosting my two favorite girls?
One, Sarah. Who's the other?
Figment of my imagination, apparently. Do you want something to drink?
Morgan, what's the point of picking a fight over that? He was being nice to you. Morgan would absolutely pick a fight to make herself the enemy for no reason.
What do you recommend?
I've just got in this case of beautiful, tawny deep reds from volcanic soil across the sea.
Do we know how developed Sarah's gustatory capabilities are?
Assuredly superhuman.
Right,
Her
but
creator would settle for no less.
I guess so. I don't think she can get drunk, right? Or do we not know that?
I don't think we know. I think that when she was interested in sipping whiskey, Morg didn't let her.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, like, is this a case where, like, oh, she's very attuned to her taste buds. She would actually be, like, maybe not a sommelier tier, but, like, someone who's actually good at helping people determine what they want in a bar.
Savory and full with notes of cherry and oak.
I prefer mine with a mild fruity note. That sounds delicious.
You just described a tree. Down to the dirt.
Well, I would very much like to try the tree.
Sorry, you're underage.
She's an android.
Huh.
A very realistic one. What do you say to customers who walk in and see her drinking at the counter?
Irashai.
2 waters coming right up. Wait, back up. Your client is the Hound of Icaria.
And I was the last person to find out what that actually meant.
Then it should be easy enough to tell whether he did the deed or not. The Hound always leaves a calling card.
We heard about this. And we don't know what it is yet, but presumably its presence or absence at the scene is gonna help us in this case somehow, right? And so I hear. Is that literal?
Stark white business card laid neatly on the ground with the house's insignia.
Although I guess they could then counter-argue, like, well, this wasn't a planned thing, you know? And then again, they would be admitting that she would then have to admit that her client was the Hound of Vicaria, where there's this whole veil of plausible deniability currently over the case, right?
Yep.
So, maybe that's a non-starter.
I don't understand why why the house would go to such lengths to let the victims know who attacked them.
These neo-ability types, their whole lives are galas and boardrooms and cocktail parties and wine tastings.
Absolute torture.
Where every sentence has a front and back side to it and every glance is a whole unspoken clause.
Oh no! Not subtext! My greatest enemy!
To them, an unambiguous act of violence is an exclamation point that they can't misconstrue. And the Icaria aren't exactly at the top of the neo-ability pecking order. Reminding the others that they've still got their fangs as a viable strategy, they know they're outclassed in terms of how many mountains of gold they have.
That doesn't explain why such a supposedly great assassin has gotten made on more than one occasion.
Well, he's probably just doing his job there. If all he needed was to get away with murder, he'd be a poisoner or a sniper. All the major houses love to use body doubles. If he kills a target behind closed doors, their house can just bring out a spare. Or hell, claim the whole thing never happened.
So the brutality and lack of ambiguity and unavoidability of it is the point. They need to know that there's no denying it, there's no misconstruing it or turning it. It has to be so blatant and so over the top that it can't be used by the target's associates to spin it in some way, right? A kind of way of brute forcing your way through all of the subterfuge and subtext and stuff of that high society. Of the neo-ability, I should say.
So really the opposite of a sneaky assassin, and more of a like, how do we make sure this is not sneaky? How do we make sure everybody knows what happened here?
Exactly.
If they don't necessarily want people to know.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
But if the Hound kills where a house's rivals can see, the damage sticks.
Also, I know this was... Don't think I didn't miss body doubles in there. Don't think I didn't miss that.
You know a lot about the neo-ability, don't you, boss? Are you considered a part of the neo-aristocracy?
Do I look like I've got that kind of sway? I don't run a bar in Midtown as a hobby, kid.
Wouldn't know it looking at how profitable your wine section is.
It'll catch on.
Morgan, why are you picking fights? I get that she's had a rough day, but come on. This guy is clearly trying to be in your corner. The Hound was a nasty surprise, but the big reveal isn't making anything click for me.
I really want a whole side plot of just like Diamante and Sarah making a fortune off wine trading from Sarah's weird lark about like, yeah, I want cases of port and stuff. I want this to catch on.
And then they're just making bank out of the shipping dock of there.
And it's like comes up maybe once per chapter and then
yeah. Oh my god. And then by the end of chapter 5, Sarah's like,
Yeah, so I think I'm ready to buy my own building.
building?
A blue blood assassin trying to mist him mid-trial? I don't get it either, but the blue bloods aren't as rational as they used to be.
Do we think it was actually a blue blood or someone set up to it? I mean, it seemed, if I recall correctly, they said that he seemed like he was on some kind of, on some kind of drug at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if maybe he had been kind of hyped up and put up to it without maybe really understanding what the whole context was, and then was made as a patsy that way.
I don't know. Is that a thing that happens?
I don't know. It just like you're saying, it doesn't necessarily make sense. Oh my gosh, this seltzer is fighting me today. How's yours?
About the same.
Okay.
They used to be?
I traded with them a good deal when I was younger, and they were richer.
Traded what?
Stock tips.
Oh.
Okay, not Morgan. Sarah, we know Sarah isn't dumb, right? I think she can pick up the subtext of that there's something going on here, right?
Yep.
But she also maybe realizes this is not the place to talk about it openly.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if, like, at the end of this chapter is when she confronts Morgan and is like, hey, so what kind of stuff are you actually involved with? Right? And this was before the Icaria cut them down.
I was a young man, hungry to establish myself, and the Blue Bloods were the biggest game in town. The Rust weren't even a twinkle in some psychopunk's eye back then, and the Icaria cartel were just that. Drug smugglers and dope runners. The Blue Bloods used them as couriers.
A reversal of fortune.
Could be their names on opera houses and hospitals all across the city today if...
If what?
If the Icaria hadn't killed them all. All right, we haven't filled Sarah in on all the details we've learned. But wait, hold on. Why is this dartboard partitioned into 10 sections?
Seems like it.
What? Is that normal? Ugh. The decagonal dartboard is making my eyes hurt.
What? But they didn't have allies?
The Dark Critic has signed on.
I expect that there's more regularity to dartboards than that, and picking 5-way symmetry is a choice. Right? You could have gone 3 or 4-way symmetry and kept it simple, like maybe not 4-way, because, well, yeah, 4-way. My point is, there was a decision made to make it this way, and it's working. I'm noticing. I saw your decision.
But didn't they have allies or connections?
The morgues were overflowing with cerulean blood. No one wanted anything to do with them.
Isn't all blood cerulean while it's still in the body? But they were victims.
Corporate partners are risk-averse. Political alliances require you to bring something to the table. And when you fall that far, that fast, the common folk assume it happened for a reason.
They thought the Blue Bloods deserved it just because it happened to them?
All that was left were the old-timers, the grandparents, and the great-uncles, all suddenly without heirs. They recruited latchkeys and orphans during the Red Decade, found family that became the first gens and then the Youngbloods.
What about the money?
You're starting to sound like a real human.
Some of it, the cash, the gold, the jewels, the Ikaria just stole. But the vast majority of it was held overseas, where it was safe, untouchable, and impossible to get your hands on without the right blood.
Locked behind GFA.
Getting butchered by the Ikaria was a bad beating, but losing that money was unforgivable. The rest of the Blue Blood Mafia around the world will never accept them back into the fold until they recover it. The rest of the Blue Blood Mafia around the world? So it's just in this one city, but the Blue Bloods are a global thing and there's other Blue Bloods?
I thought we learned that the Blue Bloods were a bit more widespread because they were a shipping cartel, right?
Right.
I thought we learned. Yeah.
Exiled from paradise because they tempted fate with their hubris. Has a certain poetic charm to it, no?
Would have to be a very sobering poem.
Those are the ones you remember, aren't they?
I like Shel Silverstein.
Probably why the Blue Bloods are still humming the same old hymns, passing down the same ghost stories and urban legends.
They did seem to be a surprisingly superstitious bunch, crossing their fingers over the red hood and... Hey, quick question, what's a Little Lord?
That's another one. New spin on one of the oldest tales in the book, A Promised Prince.
Oh, is this their fairy tale savior that was hidden overseas, who can come back and access all the money and create a new generation?
Yep.
I see.
The belief is that exactly one kid survived the fall of the leaves, one lone heir to all the fortune the Blue Bloods lost. Got spirited away overseas or out west to be raised in secret, and one day he'll come back to reclaim what's rightfully, you know. I'm guessing you've heard this one before.
Is there any truth to it?
Old guards certainly seem to think so, need to think so. It's probably what's keeping them alive. If they can just hold on another 5 years, they'll finally find the heir they've been looking for, and they can rectify decades of embarrassment and shame. Thinking like that is what makes Youngblood start talking about maybe the old guard doesn't care what happens to us.
And what do they expect? Blood is thicker than water. Isn't that the opposite of what that means?
How do you mean?
The full phrase for blood is thicker than water means the opposite of that, right?
What's the full phrase?
The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, right?
Oh. Huh, yeah, that sure sounds like it means the opposite.
I'm pretty sure that means the Fuck me! What do you even need me for? I'm out. See ya. Vivian, you got this episode?
No. Come back.
Okay, fine.
The original, full expression is thought to be, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. That actually suggests that camaraderie between those who fought together is stronger than simply sharing a common relative.
Okay, yeah, well, if that were actually true, then maybe people wouldn't have amputated the expression centuries ago.
Huh.
Still, this is 30 years of water, or blood covenant if you prefer, that we're talking about. Youngbloods give their life to the Mafia, each of them had to choose it over their own family. It's a pretty raw deal to cut him loose just because some sheltered kid, only valuable for his DNA, decided to show up after all these years.
You think the old guard would throw away the Youngbloods if it meant reuniting with their little lord?
I know it, and so do the Youngbloods.
Really? They just throw away a whole group of people already indebted to them? Huh.
That doesn't seem to be a dynamic that incentivizes them to look very hard for this little lord.
No, it incentivizes them to smother the royal bastard. If I assume my client is innocent, that means someone else killed Tariq Chopin. Someone who didn't do it in self-defense.
Tariq Chopin? You mean the son of the city councilman?
Adopted son. Is she implying that Tariq is somehow the little lord from overseas?
What a wild thing to jump to.
Why does she keep bringing up adopted? Okay, I shouldn't say obviously he's adopted, right? Trans men exist. But
also, like, one of them could just be his biological father.
Yeah, also that. Yeah. So, like, why are we hammering on this if not Morgan is attempting to spin Tariq Chopin as the Little Lord? His parents are government officials. Even if they're loaded, the Mob Act can't protect all their records. I could actually use the refresher on this. Oh, right. This is the thing that protects, that gives anonymity to people with enough money. Because that was important. The Protection of Reasonable Anonymity Act is a law passed in 2059 and amended in 2061, intended to protect the safety of individuals with income above the 99th percentile of the nation. Labeled in the press as the Mob Act for its supposed goal of hindering mob justice, the PRAA establishes procedures and funding for technology that helps individuals within that particular tax bracket keep their name, face, and address off the main net, ensuring that they and their families are not prejudiced against just because of their financial status. Fuck. I'm sure I had the same reaction in the other time this came up, but fuck that. Economic uncertainty and civil unrest in the late 2050s led to a series of highly publicized crimes wherein corporate executives at a number of high-profile companies were stalked, harassed, and assaulted in net-organized flash lynchings. After a particularly chaotic attack that resulted in the hospitalization of a 14-year-old, the PRAA was proposed, debated, and signed into law in just under 11 hours. A flash lynching case has not gone to trial since 2062, but the PRAA continues to protect citizens to this day. Some economists have pointed to the PRAA and its promise of anonymity as to why the nation has enjoyed a relative resurgence in corporate immigration over the past few decades. But the purposely obscure nature of the law's implementation have made the task of weighing its true economic impact effectively impossible. I forgot to play with the little Morgan keychain, I'm sorry. Hey Sarah, look this guy up real quick.
What do you want to know?
What's his age? How old was he?
His age is listed as 27, but the entry has been edited a number of times. There's been a great deal of back and forth between database contributors in the last 36 hours over the addition or removal of an asterisk.
That's how you know Wikipedia made it. Wikipedia is still around.
There you go.
It seems his original birth certificate was lost.
Well, that is shady as hell.
Only kinda.
Here it comes.
If he was an orphan 27 years ago, that's pretty firmly in the red decade. A lot of paperwork was getting lost back then.
That's a kind way of putting it.
What would be an unkind way of putting it?
The governments of the world were scrambling. I want to know all about his adoption.
His father has adopted him in 2066 after 3 months of visits to gospel home orphanages at a private philanthropic institution that is no longer in business.
Bankrupt or bought out?
Bankrupt.
Damn it, if they had just gotten swallowed, the parent company might have kept their records.
The adoption itself was somewhat of an event. There are multiple news articles and photos of it.
Not trying to cast doubt on the realness of their connection, but they wouldn't be career politicians if they let a photo op that good pass them by.
Unless they wanted to draw attention away from who they were adopting, and no. A child showing up quietly in a politician's life looks guilty as sin, so they wouldn't let people think. This isn't useful. I can go in circles all day speculating about this.
I don't know what I'm missing here, but Morg seems to be on to something, and I am absolutely not. I am not picking up any of this.
I think we just explained. I think I just got what she's trying to think about here. I think she's trying to convince, see, is there a way to argue that this guy's the Little Lord? Whether or not he actually is, if Morgan can argue that they thought he was, that can be a useful thing in court to give motive for someone besides Sosuke being the killer. What was his education?
Tariq Chopin had a law degree.
Who gets a law degree and then becomes a patrol officer?
The son of a politician. It's not a bad path if your superiors know you're connected and smart and can recognize when the law is being broken. They'll keep you far away from anything real. You can coast for a year and then move into politics as a veteran of the force who's hard on crime.
London did mention he was far too principled to be likable or reliable. If joining up with the police was nothing but a calculated move, that means he had a clear plan for what to do after. And it probably didn't involve defrauding the city in a real estate scheme. Okay, I can think of a few reasons why a cop would get murdered at the scene of a crime like that. But Tariq Chopin wasn't some ordinary cop. The strongest motive that comes to mind is...
Wait, you really think...
Called it.
I still don't understand why she would... is it just that she is trying to spin it as that, or is it that she actually thinks we have learned some things that should make us believe this might be the case?
Well, what do we know about how he died? On Morgan's understanding, if it wasn't Sosuke, then it was the person that he came there with, right?
Mm-hmm.
The person who seemed to know that the person who seemed to be on the Youngblood speed dial for help, there's an emergency. Right? Because we suspect that Creek set off a silent alarm, and that's how Chopin's partner knew that there was a shooting there when he couldn't have heard it.
But Chopin's partner wasn't the one that knew there was going to be a shooting there, right? Wasn't Chopin the one who took them there?
Right, Chopin was the one that took them there. Sorry. According to his partner, yes.
Yeah.
But so, why would Chopin be... That wouldn't make sense then, would it? Unless our guy's lying to us about who heard what and when.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like, what things give us a positive reason to suspect there's something up with Chopin and he is the Little Lord, specifically.
Yeah.
Like, if it's just we're trying to spin it that way, that's one thing.
My guess would be that Morgan is trying to spin it right now. I don't think she has proof positive to believe that, but let's hear her reasoning.
You think Chopin was a little lord?
You're the last person I'd expect to believe in fairy tales, Red.
Can you honestly say it doesn't fit?
If we, for a moment, assume that unicorns and dragons and Tsuchinokos are real...
Tsuchinoko real! What do you mean? Tsuchinokos are very well documented. I can show you.
Then yeah, it's possible that Chopin was the Little Lord.
And if any young blood knew it, they would want him dead.
To prevent the old guard from abandoning them.
3 thoughts come to mind. 1, this is all guesswork on your part. Even the most zealous young blood wouldn't off a guy just because he happened to be about 30 years old and adopted.
They would have had to have seen something that at least suggested it.
2, as I recall, the only young blood you know of is this Creek guy.
And Creek was dead before Chopin ever entered the building.
Clears his name pretty handily.
The only young blood I know.
That's an interesting phrase.
Yeah.
Did that mean the other 3 weren't? Did that mean that she didn't know the other 3, or that folks don't know that she did?
Might be that Creek is the only young blood and that they were Creek's associates. So not maybe officially. Maybe Creek was the one that was officially in the org chart.
Also, just putting this out there, wasn't Diamante the one who had given her the tip to go there in the first place?
Yeah.
So does Diamante not know that she was at the scene of this crime? Doesn't he know that?
I think that came up last time, right? Because she said... I think that came up a lot of scenes ago, actually, when they first talked after that. And she was like, yeah, I showed up, they laughed at me, and then I left.
3, I can think of at least one other group that had killed to prevent the Little Lord from reclaiming his throne.
Oh, Sicaria.
And who better to cut him down than their most loyal rook?
And that would neatly explain why the old guard would be pissed enough to try and kill Sosuke in a courtroom. Unfortunately.
Stay positive. Just because the old guard thinks Sosuke killed their precious heir doesn't mean he actually did.
Right. So this is all about, like, how can we spin hypotheticals? Yeah.
Hey, Sarah, get some footage of me making this next one from over there in the corner.
Boss?
We'll shoot a promo. I just found this hidden gem where this guy made the best drink ever. That kind of thing. Where it's kind of cheap and fake, but like you're in on the joke and it's not pretending to be genuine.
Boss, with the number of followers Kintsugi has, a video longer than 9 seconds posted at this time of day.
I don't want to hear that depressing shit. We'll cross-post or whatever.
Does it have to be that corner? Lighting will be bad.
Any corner, just make sure it's from a distance.
From a distance, wouldn't it be better framed if...
It looked like shaky cam, found footage. It's more legit that way.
If you just need to talk to Morgan for a moment, you can do that. You can just ask me to... You don't have to... My hands do not shake, but I will try.
What are you doing?
Making you a drink, obviously.
That's quite the treat, but why?
Because we've got some heavy shit to discuss. Starts with ice.
Ooh, flashy.
He gets a wink cut scene.
Mhm.
The charisma.
Oh, wait, hold on. But wait, Sarah's actually doing that. Okay, no, hold on. Never mind. Because he's asking Sarah for follow-up. So clearly Sarah is still involved in this conversation.
What do we do with crushed ice at Kintsugi, Sarah?
Kick it under the fridge.
Exactly. Rock ice or nothing when you're mixing a cocktail.
Hang on, you taught her that?
There's a drain under there.
Not in my kitchen. When the ice melts, it warps the floorboards.
Half a lime, juiced. Pay no attention to the second half I'm using here, Sarah. Red likes it tart. Now, you're the lawyer, and you've got a hell of a mind for all this stuff. Egg white, toss the yolk unless it's a weekend, in which case...
Put it in the bowl in the fridge.
But it seems to me like you're approaching this shooter from every angle but the deadly serious one. I don't know how to pronounce this. Is it actually Orjeet? Orja?
Or I'm going to go ahead and say Orjeet, but let me look it up real quick.
Yeah, look that one up.
What even is it?
Isn't it like almond based or something?
Okay, hold on.
I know it's some kind of
I believe it's
liqueur.
pronounced Orgeat.
Orgeat? It's one of those words I only ever seen written down.
Orgeat pronunciation. Orgeat.
Orgeat.
It is a sweet syrup made from almonds and sugar with a little rose water and or orange flower water.
Called it. It is almonds based.
Thank you.
But it's not a liqueur, is it? It's not alcoholic.
No, it's
Okay.
it's a syrup.
Okay.
Which is why he's telling Sarah like don't let people sub simple syrup.
Orgeat, if a customer says they prefer simple syrup, you let me know and we won't serve them anymore. You need to consider that maybe the shooter wasn't there for Sosuke.
I told you they kicked me out after only a few minutes. No one's sending an assassin after me for that.
Whiskey, Black Label, or higher.
Then shake the hell out of it.
Word of mouth can be deadly down there in the fog. I saw her leaving the building, can easily become I saw her running away.
Someone wanted to get me a courtroom filled with cops would be a pretty shitty place to choose to do it.
Yeah, but it might have been the only time and place they knew you'd be. Mint for a garnish with charred cinnamon for smoky ambiance.
I get it. He thinks Morgan was the actual target. Which, actually come to think of it, she was, right? Because that's when Creek hit the silent alarm button. Or did whatever it was that alerted those cops to come there in the first place. And that was, Morgan was the one that was there for it.
I'm confused by the sentence. You said she was the actual target, which she was. The target of the shooting?
No, she was the reason the cops were called there, right?
Okay. How is that related to whether she's the target of the shooting?
I don't know. But we know someone, like a little street urchin, saw Red going in, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that means those people have come to their own conclusions about who actually did the killing because they've got a whole myth about Red Hood.
Mm-hmm.
They think she's the Red Hood. And now Diamani is placing a lure showing, hey, the Red Hood is here. And trying to see if that also clicks something. So we can see whether or not Morgan was the actual target for the shooter in the courtroom and not Sosuke.
Wait, Diamani is placing a lure?
He's having Sarah film a video showing Red front and center here, being made a drink at his bar.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'll admit, I didn't consider that angle that Morgan was the target and not Sosuke.
That's a spicy one.
Yeah, we'll see. I again, taking shots in the dark here, but everyone loves the big swings. Did you do the...
Yeah. Serve immediately.
Oh, yeah! What is this one?
A bitter blessing.
Ooh! Surely with that much lime, it's a sour blessing, no?
You want me to toss it out?
Thank you for the drink. But I'm nobody, Rain. No one's coming to get me. Nobody even knows I exist.
I hope you're right.
I am.
You won't know if you're wrong until it's too late. Bottoms up. You get all that, Sarah?
Yes, boss.
Hey, bottoms up is just an expression. You're supposed to sip it for gods.
One last thing. Apparently Sosuke's captors talked about some kind of huntsman.
If the little lord's an urban legend, Huntsman's a goddamn boogeyman. Orcas shooting the shit around burning tires, trying to make the noobs afraid to go off and piss by themselves.
Right, so they're bullshit. I got the same answer elsewhere, but...
Oh, they're very real.
Pardon?
Huntsman. Not a species native to our shores, thank God, but they're real.
You just said they're boogeyman.
Yeah, and the fact that they exist is what makes them so damn scary.
Are they some sort of assassin? Like Brisson, the shooter in the courtroom?
Nothing so concrete. Huntsmen are virtual shapeshifters. You feel a chill down your spine one night on your way home from work, go to sleep, wake up at night to a man wearing your own face choking the life out of you.
Interesting. Thanks for giving us reason to doubt people's appearances. I know we already had body doubles put in here, but so glad they have this.
How is this going to play in? There's no way it doesn't play in.
Tariq Chopin isn't dead. Tariq Chopin is in the courtroom giving testimony about the death of Tariq Chopin. Boom! Came from overseas. Huntsman.
But wait, then who is dead that everyone thinks is Tariq Chopin?
What the fuck is his name?
Are you looking for the other policeman? I think it was Rogers.
Was it Rogers?
Was it?
This guy.
But that doesn't look like the same guy, right?
Yeah, never mind. I don't know how they'd get the body to look like that then.
It'd be one thing to have a still living person look like the dead guy. It's another thing to make the dead guy look like someone he wasn't.
Body doubles.
Another body double.
So, well, no. That's one body double. I want to be clear. That's one body double.
Well, so in that case, we don't need a shapeshifter, right?
Huh? No. Because then we don't know where the actual Huey Rogers is.
Wait, what? So Huey Rogers is also not Huey Rogers.
So Huey Rogers is Chopin wearing Huey Rogers' face. Chopin is a huntsman. And the Chopin body is a body double.
You're right. It all makes so much sense this way.
Oh, man. Okay, to be clear, I'm not buying that one, but it is funny. Oh, right. Got to play with the Morgan chain real quick. All right.
While he calls your mom from your locked phone across the room in your own voice. But like I said, they're all overseas in more contested parts of the world where the blue bloods are better funded.
Is that what makes is that how the no mask works? Is that what the no mask is for? No, the no mask was for preventing like the security tech in the area around you from working or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. Which I still think just loudly announces where you are, but that's me.
You wouldn't pay for one of them to come into the country unless you had a really good use case or a weapon only they could take full advantage of.
Well, I'll be sure to pass that on to Sosuke.
Why, so Sosuke can start writing his will?
I wouldn't bet against him so long as he knows what he's up against. Urban legends are missed, but boogeymen are easy to kill.
How do you kill a boogeyman?
Same way I'd kill anyone else. With pleasure.
Is this gonna end with Morgan having to fight and kill herself? This is the worst. She knows all my moves.
Wait, was that an Agents of Cracked reference?
Yes.
Nice. Oh, it was fine. We played I Spy. We started a mouth band. Oh, right. I actually need a recommendation from you.
What kind of recommendation?
A bar, I think, needs to be open tonight.
Oh, what are you looking for?
Well, it's not for me, but how much do you know about host clubs? What? What? Wait, what? Now I'm confused. Where are we going with this?
Morgan's trying to get someone laid? What?
Oh, wait. Isn't Reyes interested in them? Thought she... Am I misremembering that? I might be. Yeah, nothing to point at. Okay, I don't know.
What the hell is that supposed to mean? Just what I said. You can't enter the crime scene until you pass our security clearances. You've got to be. You're a drug-pushing lowlife. Why would I need your permission to go anywhere? I take offense to that. I've never worked in pharma. Oh, not the time to be a smartass. Reyes, it will only take 30 seconds. You're serious? This is reality? The city's expecting blue bloods to keep a crime scene secure. They're the ones committing the goddamn crimes. Hey, if that's your criteria, half the police force should be disqualified. Or is excessive force not a real crime? Our battered spouse is not real victims. Guess assault's only assault when it's a real person on the receiving end. Cyanus is legitimate, Reyes. All the paperwork's in order and signed by our bosses. These idiots are walking around barehanded and knocking shit over and leaving trash all over the goddamn place. Should we give them badges while we're at it? Let them investigate crimes, too? We already investigate crimes. You have any idea how many missing teens there are in the lower wards? No, because we find them. Because we actually give a shit about the people who live down here. Oh, and I'm sure your prices are very generous. Better their parents get a bill from us than a letter of condolences from you. So sorry, ma'am, but he looked suspicious as he was running away. Not helping. Reyes, let's calm down. Sorry that I'm not calm when we've got actual orcas stomping all over the scene where a cop was murdered. Last I counted, there were 5 bodies upstairs. Are both your eyes broken, or do you just not recognize anyone without a badge as human?
Perhaps we've come at a bad time.
Nothing for it. Gotta strike while the iron's hot.
The iron seems very hot in this instance, Adonai.
Sorry to interrupt, folks. Don't mind me, I'll just go take another look upstairs.
Now you? Hey, why not? You nearly died once already today. Why not let these orcas give you the tour?
Was that you giving me permission?
No! You and London should both be at a goddamn hospital or whatever getting debriefed. She doesn't need your permission. She has mine. Ma'am, you can go right ahead upstairs. Talk over me again and I'll break your finger. Is that ad recording right now? That sounded like a threat. You want to hear a threat? Clearly, this isn't gonna work. So, Han, why don't you head upstairs and wait for Morgan? I don't take orders from you. Who do you take orders from? Want me to give them a call? Let them know you're going around kicking hornets' nests and scratching your head over why everyone's getting stung? Whatever. You think you can just walk away after the shit you said? Turn around and... Take a walk, sunshine. London, if you think for even one... I'm not kidding, Farah. Take a walk. Forget it. You all can go to hell for all I care.
Damn, is this the first time she's actually had like a moment, an encounter like that where it's like that really kind of shakes her belief in the inherent justice in what she does?
Maybe.
It seems to me like, because London even described her that way, right? As someone who really seemed to want to be doing the allegedly correct thing.
Yep. Oh, no, not you. For God's sake.
Sorry about the bad timing.
No, that was going to blow up no matter what. Situations like this require compromise, and Reyes is...
Uncompromising.
At least you're around to balance her out. You might be the most compromised cop I've ever met.
That was not a very nice thing to say.
And it shows that you haven't met that many cops.
I'm surprised you're still welcome around here after what happened in the courtroom.
Oh, Bresson. The Blue Bloods are a big organization, and Bresson was pretty firmly on the other side. Gals like Han who work in the gray areas might as well live in a different world.
If you say so. Also, I assume at that point when they're out waving a gun at you in public, then that kind of counts as tit for tat. Right? It's like, I'm sorry, you're angry at me that I didn't roll over and let myself get shot? Go to hell. I just didn't think the Mafia would allow the death of one of their own to go unanswered.
They sent him into a courtroom packed with police with a modded arm that only had one shot. I don't think they're surprised he didn't make it back.
Will Detective Reyes be alright? She seemed angry.
More so than usual.
Yeah, she'll be alright. Blowing up, yelling, cursing, that's nothing. Practically healthy. It's the ones who go quiet you gotta worry about.
Ha ha ha.
What brings you back here anyway?
We're pursuing leads.
Every time she gets the little sparkle in her eye.
Sounds serious.
Anyone go digging into Chopin after my implications earlier today?
Lady Rockford will probably take it seriously, if only to cross it off the list. But other than her, I think you mostly just pissed people off. Lucky for you, I was able to convince some techs to confirm your soundproof windows theory, but...
Ooh, okay. The windows at the scene of the crime, positioned behind Creek's desk, opens to the alley and the fire... Wait, if that was true, why were they playing loud music when Morgan came in, supposedly to muff... Oh, they were trying to... It's just to muffle Sosuke's sounds for her benefit. I guess. Blood splatter across the windows has, through forensic analysis, been traced back to when a maggot shell split inside Creep's ribcage. Oh, right, this is all the same. Additional analysis of the building has confirmed the windows and doors are all effectively soundproof when closed.
Don't expect to be welcome at City Hall anytime soon.
Hadn't counted on it. Whatever else he's innocent of, Chopin did get here before anyone else, and no one knows how.
Look, if he really did get some kind of coded message or secret text, there's no trace of it in any comm logs on his personal devices, and it didn't come from any of the tech we've examined on site.
Interesting.
Have you found any secret passages on the premises?
Afraid not, little lady.
Why do we get ships for that?
But maybe you'll have better luck than me.
Secret passages? In what world?
We're just going through all of the different detective novel rules.
I feel okay. Hold on. At this point, I feel like they're throwing out a whole bunch of bullshit just to distract us from the obvious now. Right? This feels like what if we, the developers of the game, throw out every single conceivable fucking mystery bullshit trope just to distract you from the actual, real, basic, possible conclusion. Was that your whole story back in the courtroom? You and Reyes happened to be in the area?
If you don't want to take my word for it, Reyes will tell you the same thing.
Doesn't seem like she'd want to talk to Adonai at the moment.
Can you tell me exactly what you two saw when you arrived?
The 10999 went out at around 10:15 p.m., telling us that Chopin's heart had stopped. So we dashed across the street to an elevator. We were descending at 10:17 p.m. when Rogers reported that he was dead. At 10:21 p.m., we approached from the front of the building, saw the door ajar, lock blown in, Then Sunshine and I started clearing the first floor.
You didn't hurry up to the 3rd floor where the dead cop was.
Like I testified, Chopin had flatlined and his own partner had confirmed it was no false alarm. We knew we couldn't do anything for him.
Honestly, that's sensible. Like, if there's a chance, then yeah, you rush up to help. But if he's flatlined for that long, then yeah, you do the safe way, right?
Rogers had already apprehended the suspect, so SOP is we focus on securing the area and clearing the premises.
How level-headed.
So the Officer Rogers we saw in court today really did take Sosuke down all by himself?
Yeah, charged in and pistol whipped him right on the head.
I assume you found that the 1st floor was in fact clear.
Yeah, all these vaults were empty.
You didn't wait for Cyanus to show up with the spare keys? Surprised you didn't throw your back out kicking down doors.
Sunshine helped. Besides, they weren't all locked.
Really? They weren't.
Yeah, I remember that. That one right there was unlocked. Room 107.
Oh, 7. Detective London testifies that this one vault door was unlocked when he and Detective Reyes arrived at the scene of the crime. Utilizes a physical key like all other doors on the premises. Nothing suspicious was found in this or any of the other locked vaults that they cleared, but one was unlocked for some reason. Was someone in it?
Could be.
And then left when they got a feeling that something wasn't going right? Heard a lot of people rushing past and they're like, oh shit. Interesting.
Nothing inside there either, though. Guess the Blue Bloods missed a lock on a nightly roundup or something.
Now we're doing locked room bullshit? Hell yeah. Cyanus has unlocked every door in the building at this point. But when I first walked down this hall and when I walked out the front door later, how did this hall look then?
If you do manage to find some kind of silent alarm, I'll be impressed. If you prove that Chopin was dirty, I'll be floored. But even then, how are you going to convince a jury that anyone other than Sosuke killed him?
It'll be difficult without accounting for the 4 dead Blue Bloods as well. But if you take it all in as one set, starts seeming plausible as an internal issue, don't you think?
What do you want to pitch this as the young bloods and old guard going at it? Over what?
The juicy bait that Chopin literally died over. Proposition 492.
But what's there to disagree about? That project would put money in everyone's pockets.
If my theory's correct and Chopin was killed because the young bloods didn't want the old guard abandoning them. The old guard have always hedged their bets on the little lord returning. That mean the red ink plans to profit up Prop 492 were a young blood conspiracy? Those papers were tucked inside Creek's safe before I arrived.
Well, good hunting.
You won't be joining us?
Not this time. I gotta go pump the brakes on Sunshine before she finds a bar. Try not to piss off the Blue Bloods with any more wild accusations while I'm gone.
I would never.
Take care. And that goes doubly for you, Sparky.
What does Sparky mean, by the way?
It's a nickname because you're so bright.
Oh, a nickname.
The music. How is it that someone as expressive as she is so kudere at times? You know what I mean? Like, she's this joyful and sweet and stuff, but most of her happiest moments are just eye sparkle, dead face.
But I guess people are always calling you ads whatever they like, huh? Sorry, should have asked first.
Well, what do you mean?
I'll just call you Sarah.
But it's my nickname. You gave it to me. You can't just take it back.
Well, okay then, Sparky.
Uh-huh.
I do appreciate that London is like, yeah, I guess that was, considering the circumstances and all, that was kind of rude. What the hell? Did you hate spearmint that much? Wow!
I would never want to seem ungrateful.
Oh. Wow, Morgan tried. That's a good point. That's a good little coda to that scene. Seems like the smell is starting to fade. Barely even the memory of blood now that so many feet have trodden through here. Nothing lasts forever. Miss Hahn.
What? No, I already called you this morning. No, they're not. No, they're not. You're being paranoid. Yes, I'm sure. Yes, I'll call you tonight. Bye.
Didn't mean to interrupt another lover's quarrel.
What? Oh no, that was, dementia meds aren't working. They get confused this time of day.
Oh, shit. Wait, for real? I'm sorry for assuming. I'm sorry.
Forget it. That's what I'm gonna do. Just gonna turn my phone off for a minute and forget.
Oh.
Cute android, by the way.
Aw. Thank you.
So, what's up?
There's a couple of ways of going about this, but none of them are surefire. Might as well start out big and see if there's anything to this theory. Do the Blue Bloods use silent alarms?
Yeah, of course.
Well, thank you for telling us.
Sure.
I'm actually going to be in need a bit more than that, Miss Hahn.
It's just Han.
Did Creek have a silent alarm? She's hesitating all of a sudden. She unsure of the answer, or did she just give her first answer without thinking where it would lead?
Nothing like that installed in the building. Arcs would have chewed it up and spat it out by now.
The ARX is not flawless. It can miss things.
Look, you've seen the level of techs we Blue Bloods have. It's secure, but it ain't subtle.
That is true. An Orca-run security firm wouldn't have quite as much luck hiding their subsystems from the police as David Ashore did, Sarah.
But the ARX can miss things that aren't tech at all.
A silent alarm that is analog?
Let me know if you figure that one out.
Well, I mean, at what point does analog become tech, right? Is it tech if I put a string between two plastic cups? Or is that analog? You know what I mean?
Either an alarm is analog and loud or digital and silent.
That sounds like you just set yourself up with a false dichotomy. Can't wait to go into that one.
They don't mix.
She's defensive, but her logic is sound. Approaching it from the other angle, then. How could an analog silent alarm possibly function? Couple of ideas. Flags.
Yeah, visual something.
Yeah, like change something visually on the skyline that is different. Either put up a literal like SOS flag, or like remove something that is usually turn off a light that is usually on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that could easily. Again, that doesn't. It's not foolproof, right? You can't guarantee that it gets the message across immediately. But if someone's looking for it and they see like, oh shit, okay, got to do that. Smoke signals, for fuck's sake. I don't agree with the framing that maybe in the year that they're in, like that's harder to conceive of. But I don't agree with the framing that's not possible.
Plus, there's other senses. What if it's a smell-based silent alarm?
She did mention the scent was starting to fade in the room. But so here's the thing. I actually think that's a great idea. The problem is that it wouldn't be able to work over a very long distance.
Unless it was really stinky.
Because Morgan would have noticed, for one. And two, we don't really have ways of transmitting smell. That's like one of the few senses
Series of tubes.
we don't really have for like transmitting over long distances.
We can transmit.
You could do it to like release a gas to someone else in the building to let them know quietly that something was going on, right? But I don't know that you could. I don't think you'd be able to do it to a cop in a moving car. I'm trying to take this as seriously as I can. I know you're doing a bit, but I'm trying. I'm trying not to.
Touch-based. They pull a lever and it makes a big mechanical arm reach out and tap them on the shoulder.
Or it's one of those like frickin' dog alarm things. Just
yeah, it's not actually silent, but you can't hear it.
Right, you can't hear it if you're over the age of 25. A literal alarm, but one that can't be heard under normal circumstances.
What a horrible smell in here.
Like a dog whistle. Okay, cool, we got there.
Huh?
You once bragged to me about your sense of smell.
I don't think I was bragging.
Could have sworn you puffed your chest out at the time. Doesn't matter. If I asked you to sniff something out, could you find it?
What'd you like me to look for?
Still don't have a clear picture of what happened after I left, but there's one thing I know should be here that hasn't turned up once yet. Is it the knife?
The knife hasn't turned up. We also don't have keys, though. What were keys for? The keys were on Creek's neck, right? Are they gone now?
Didn't Morgan take them and put them back?
Yeah. Did they? Were they on Creek's corpse when found?
Let's look at Creek's autopsy. Doesn't look like it. Do we have... Is the dagger in here? Is the knife in here?
It isn't. No
Neither
knife
are
was
the
found.
keys.
So that's interesting. We've got 2 missing things.
Are both missing then?
And neither of them are mentioned there.
The skeleton keys for the entire building were found on Creep's corpse right where I left them.
Oh, they were there.
No, the one thing I...
Oh, so we didn't remember that we did hear that.
The one thing I know should be here that hasn't turned up is...
The knife.
Right. I'm the only one who knows about the knife. Well, I don't know where it went. I do know it had plenty of blood on it when I last saw it. I want you to smell for blood.
I don't know. Do you really need me to help you find blood in here?
I'm not asking you to sniff in here. I want you to smell out the window.
I'll try. There are many strong smells in this part of the city, Adonai. There's something truly unpleasant as well.
Is there something in... Have they not opened the dumpster to look in it?
Yeah, that'd be funny if there was just like extra evidence in the dumpster.
Something beneath this fire escape.
Okay. Now go fetch.
Could ask nicely.
Wait, Sarah!
Yes?
That is a very old, rusted fire escape. Take the stairs.
Huh?
You're too heavy.
As you command, Adonai.
I do think that was Morgan being was actually being helpful. Even if whenever Morgan's nice, she has like a pathological need to make herself look like an asshole while doing it, right? Un instant. Several minutes later, Sarah returned, looking worse for wear and seemingly in a bad mood.
The weight comment bother her that much?
Oh, the weight comment bother her that much?
Adonai, I do not like digging through trash. It is not a dignified way to investigate.
Digging in people's trash is the basis of all good investigation.
Easy for you to say when you aren't wearing all white.
Did you find something?
Yes.
My knife, and it's charred?
I found it amongst the ashes of a blackened steel drum below the fire escape.
What?
It seems to have been the site of a fire.
That sounds familiar. Well, first thing you do is you don't matlock it, right? You immediately call the detective up here and be like, hey, we found something. Right? Because unlike matlock, you can't just keep evidence on you and bring it out in court. That sounds familiar. Wasn't there a barrel burning in the alley when I first scoped the place out?
There were signs of a chemical flame retardant being applied to the barrel.
Police must have put the fire out when they first secured the scene. Meaning the knife wasn't in a fire all night, but still.
There does appear to be blood on this knife, Adonai. So how did both the police and scientists miss it?
Their noses aren't as good as yours, evidently.
That is true.
See? Like that's what she looks like when she's proud.
But they have drones and dogs for this kind of thing.
Yeah, but they have to actually use them. They'd have no reason to search the vicinity for a bloody knife if they found a sword sticking out of a corpse's midsection.
Shall we ask the police to check for fingerprints?
Fingerprints are mostly oil and sweat. Fire evaporates them both.
Then...
we have to test and see whose blood is on that knife.
But DNA is damaged by heat as well.
You know, before DNA analysis, blood had another forensic use.
You mean blood typing?
The DNA on the knife might be too damaged, but modern analytical tools should be at least able to identify blood typing, right?
That could work, Adonai.
Great! Ready to get started?
Pardon?
You were capable of recognizing my DNA, weren't you?
No, Morgan!
When we first met, yes, but...
So why didn't you try your head at analyzing blood type? It's gotta be simpler, right?
It might be, but Adonai, to analyze the blood on this knife, I would have to use my...
Pretend it's a lollipop or something.
No.
It's blood.
Well done, blood. That'll taste like beef.
You don't know what human blood tastes like.
Of course I don't. Look, the fire sanitized it, probably. Just get it over with. To be fair, it was a decision to put that part of that function in that part.
Yeah.
I will reference this incident the next time we discuss raises, Ad and I.
That's fine by me. Because that's never happening. What?
Analyze the blood minigame.
I'm not doing anything. It's just happening. Analyzing flavor profile. Why would you put that function there and then also make her able to barf? What have you got?
There is blood for more than one person present. Mostly B minus. Believe with some AB minus around the tip.
All right, now I can cross-reference that with all the rest of the data I have. Are we actually going to use the blood types?
Yep.
So what did you say, B minus and AB?
B minus and AB minus.
AB minus?
Yep. Yep.
You're so right.
It's Barrow's blood.
Greek is O.
minus.
Oh, Diamante. Okay. Nope, not Han. Octo Masters. Nope, that's Victoria.
Masters is AB minus. It could be.
Here we go. Here's
Miller's
one. Miller.
B minus.
Miller's got B minus.
And that makes sense.
AB minus.
Oh, no.
Reyes.
Rogers is AB.
Rogers is AB minus. How convenient for us.
Tanks.
Tanks is A minus, which is not on there, and Trey is O plus.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that blood has got to be either Rogers's or Morgan's or some
Miller.
unknown party. Right, the AB, I mean.
well, what we can do is be like, hey, would you look at that? The blood on this knife isn't a match for anyone who died. It implies that there has to be someone else at the scene. Thank you for your report, Sarah. You've given me a new lead to follow.
Yes, Ad and I.
And you've just made your first forensic contribution to an ongoing criminal investigation. My knife. A mass-produced medium-sized combat knife sold at a wide variety of outdoors and hunting vendors. Covered at the bottom of an ash-filled barrel in the alley just outside the crime scene. Bears clear signs of blood on the blade despite being significantly charred by flames. Sarah's unique but nonetheless admissible forensic analysis found the presence of the following. B minus blood and AB minus blood. Last time I'll ever leave something important with Sosuke. How the hell did it end up outside? How many androids could say that?
Huh.
Now come on, we've got some boxes to tick. You can't matlock it though, you have to go let London know that you just found that.
And licked it.
Okay, but the licking is actually a forensic thing.
Forensic licking. That's my new band, Forensic Licking.
Forensic licking, they were great back in the mid-aughts, but they've really fallen off lately.
So this is where they found Creek's body.
Nope, we decided we're rotating. What pronouns haven't we used yet? Z was the only one who didn't die instantly. If anyone had a chance to use a silent alarm. No, Z must have been paralyzed in between the time Z was shot and their actual expiration.
They weren't paralyzed.
What do you mean?
Oh, if Z had been paralyzed, Yumi would have noted that in her autopsy.
That is true. But Z just sat there limp the whole time. Didn't even try to move. He was playing dead? Letting me think he couldn't move so I wouldn't notice his... Was anything found in his hands? Anything at all?
Doesn't seem like it. They weren't holding some... Z wasn't holding something by the time their body got to the morgue.
If Z had been holding something but dropped it when Z died. Help me look.
For what?
Anything small enough to fit in the palm of your hand. Hang on, what is this? Wait, really? They just missed a fucking clicker. What was that? Did you just jump?
I was merely surprised by that sound, Adonai.
What sound? I just brushed against this.
Ah!
This little toy thing. You can hear it. So it was a dog whistle thing.
It was a literal dog whistle.
I can, and it's not exactly pleasant on the ears.
Could any android hear it, or is this some special feature that David gave you?
I imagine any android or robot or electronic device with modern features could pick up this tone.
Maybe I should close the window before I test it anymore and stop torturing all the dogs in the neighborhood.
Closing the window would not matter.
It's soundproof, though.
But the specific frequency of this tone is not in your audible spectrum to begin with.
So you wouldn't bother to check soundproofing for that tone, right? Because I see. That's right.
Do you really think Krieg was toying with that nuisance maker in their final moments? In their final moments?
I like how both Morgan and Sarah have decided on different pronouns, but we are continuing to rotate. A whistle of unusual make discovered not far from where Krieg's body was found. Pressing it emits a frequency inaudible to human, but capable of being picked up by many electronics. Oh, dicks.
The way that Sarah's eyes faded to red is the last thing in the scene.
Our client, Sosuke. According to Rogers, this is how he found him.
Thrusting the sword into Chopin.
Or merely trying to retrieve it.
Not a huge improvement there.
Neela was found in a terrible state, wasn't he?
Uh-huh. And that was before the police gave him his cop killer welcoming and,
Huh?
Sarah, bring up the medical files on Sosuke. I want to go over everything we know about how he looked when Rogers arrested him.
What specifically?
Wound patterns.
How exactly was he injured?
His left hand was broken. He had internal bleeding throughout the torso. Bruising and rope burns on his wrists, where he was bound. Contusions all over the anterior side of his body. Also sustained a large blunt force trauma wound on the back of the head.
His biggest wound was to the back of his head? I guess if he fell backwards on the ground. Wait, didn't Huey supposedly pistol whip him?
Yeah.
There's also a small cut on his left hand.
How small?
As if he cut himself in the kitchen.
What's Sosuke's blood type again?
I'm about to look it up.
AB minus.
Fuck me. Okay. Wasn't expecting a metaphor there, but it's effective enough. He was covered in blood, right? Were samples taken for analysis?
Blood on his torso and head was all his own. Got some of Chopin's blood on him while he was face down being cuffed by Officer Rogers. He also had a great deal of Trey's blood on his feet and pant legs. Any other questions about our client's arrest, Adonai?
Not unless there are some crime scene photos you've been holding out on me.
I'm afraid not.
How is it that I'm the only one who made an effort to preserve the crime scene? What?
It's the seat, right? Oh, no.
Oh, read.
Red Ink Protocol. Designed to make data difficult to physically redistribute.
Couldn't anyone just take out their phone and snap a picture of the pages?
Seems that some of those responding officers attempted to. The RX shows that they failed.
And that is some fancy ink. What do you see when you look at the pages, then?
More detail than you do, I'm afraid.
Huh.
Strange, isn't it? Went to such lengths to protect this information. Yet these papers were left out where Officer Chopin or anyone could read them.
They weren't left there by Creek. I took the documents out of his safe so I could reach the mask. And I must have let them out on the desk afterwards.
Angkor Tan. Supposedly he was the first to die.
Logically, he had to have been. He's the only one who had the gun. If an attacker got it away from him, they must have done so first.
Yeah, I can see that the gun is registered to him.
Right, registered. Who the hell would look at this guy with that gun and just nod him along?
Patrol officers TC and HR 1 week ago.
Tariq Chopin.
And Huey Rogers.
Huey Rogers.
1 week ago? TC and HR? Tariq Chopin and Huey Rogers?
The badge numbers match. Seems like they detained Young Corton briefly during a stop and frisk and found this gun on him.
Finding a gun like this on anyone with priors during a stop and frisk. At the very minimum, that's grounds for 28 days detainment. Why'd they just let him go?
Is it possible that he was a criminal informant?
If he was a CI, they wouldn't have been even logged the incident. And besides, patrol officers don't have their own CIs.
Perhaps they let him go for some other reason.
Because they'd already gotten what they wanted from him. Make sure to copy the file of that stop and frisk report.
Right away.
Officers found on Tanks' person over a week ago during a routine civilian frisk by officers TC and HR. Routine civilian frisk. Fuck that. Report as follows. Subject to possession of firearm in violation of parole. Firearm shows signs of legal modification. Subject to possession of suspect communication software installed in the personal phone. Subject released with a warning in accordance with Police Code 65329E. Personal discretion without prejudice. Okay. So we could even say that Huey knew that the gun would be available to use if he got in there. What is it? Hold auto find?
Is this evidence?
It's a piece of crap some crime scene tech left behind. Nothing relevant about it.
Yes, you're right. It's just displaying a news article they must have been reading. Apparently, they've arrested the Heartbreak Killer.
Huh?
This is copycat. Yes, the Heartbreak Killer is copycat. And it seems...
Just let me skim it for myself. Do you want to read this one?
Suspected heartbreak copycat foiled, arrested. An individual suspected of planning an act of terror has been arrested thanks to quick response from local police and well-coordinated efforts from state investigators. The suspect, whose identifying information has not been released to the public, was apprehended by officers seemingly in the midst of preparing their attack, having already loaded a firearm and several magazines of ammunition into their vehicle. Police have not commented on whether the firearm in question was properly tagged, but insiders with close ties to the investigation claim that the weapon itself was not what led to the arrest. We had identified a troubling pattern of net activity in the days leading up to the arrest, concerning searches and attempts to access old net portals. The suspect had already been on our radar by that point, so when they posted that manifesto, we were able to quickly secure a warrant for their arrest. The alleged manifesto in question consists of what was, at the time, a publicly accessible online document praising Heartbreak's, quote, hardline stance against neoliberal corporate soft power, close quote, and listing a number of complaints and criticisms against the recent business decisions made by Hanami Robotics. Most notably, an announcement made on their last earnings call that they would begin moving manufacturing jobs offshore. While the decision landed Hanami in some controversy at the time, their stock price steadily increased in the days after, reflecting optimism amongst shareholders that Hanami's lucrative product lines of mostly heavy construction robots would no longer be strictly tied to national politics. When the arrest was first made, no clear connection between the individual and Hanami was apparent, but Hanami's CFO has since been seen speaking at an investor conference at a hotel within 50 kilometers of the suspect's residence, suggesting a possible target. The takeaway here is that terrorist acts like this one are easily caught, easily prevented, and there is no standing risk to the public, said lead investigator Kennings in his official statement to the press. To any dissidents out there thinking they're the next Heartbreak just because you brought a gun, you will be caught, you will be prosecuted, and your hero won't be far behind. Update: Hanami Robotics has yet to respond to requests for comment, but their official social media accounts have released simultaneous statements denouncing in the strongest terms rising violence, and thanking investigators for their swift and decisive action. We have also learned that a select portion of shareholders have received messages clarifying Hanami's global market strategy and reaffirming their commitments to their workers as well as to their customers and shareholders. Whether this is an indication of a reversal of their decision to relocate manufacturing jobs overseas. Like what you're reading? Does it change how you feel about Hanami Robotics? What if you could have access to stories like this hours or even days before the rest of the public? With a Premier account, you'll have access to all our updates on the business world as soon as they hit our desk. Remember, that's not insider trading, that's forerunner trading.
That's just to get the red dot out of the way. I like that one.
Yep.
Oh, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions.
Seems like heartbreak isn't going away, no matter what happened to the original.
So it would seem. That about wraps it up here. Miss Hahn, since Cyanus is technically in charge of securing the crime scene, what should we do with this?
Do with what?
Adonai, please refrain from pressing that button any more than necessary.
Sorry, Sarah, I can see you don't like it. But Miss Hahn's phone doesn't seem to like it either.
It's just Han, and I don't know what you're talking about. I get messages all the time.
Han, ma'am, you could please just admit so she stops pressing that.
Fine, whatever. Yes, you found one of our alarms.
Pretty clever system.
Not really. It's just an app. You set the frequency and get a notif if the app picks it up.
I love that. Sarah, be like,
Miss Han, if you could please just acknowledge it so she stops doing this.
the range.
A couple kilometers.
Thanks for clearing that up. While I have you here, though, exactly how fast did you show up to the scene of the crime?
Pardon?
This is a blue blood neighborhood. Do you really expect people to believe the cops lumbered their way here faster than any of you could?
What exactly are you trying to say? Yeah, I'm tuned to that frequency. But I'm tuned to a lot of frequencies. It's a good way of communicating without the Megs or the pigs listening in.
So you didn't get this alarm the night of the incident?
Didn't even know it went off that night. You got proof it did.
Can you explain how else Officer Chopin would have gotten here?
Nah, not my job to either.
Is it your job to come to a fellow Blue Blood's aid when they're desperately calling for help?
I didn't know Creek like that.
I didn't say Creek was the one who had this.
I saw where you were poking around, and they were the head of the pod. I assumed. Creek's a stranger to me.
Even though you're both young bloods?
What?
I'm guessing that's what the tattoo means. Neither of you make much effort to hide it.
It is plainly visible even in their autopsy photos.
You have no idea what this ink means.
Would you tell us what it means?
Blood bag.
What?
The old guard use you as donors.
Gangsters live a life of drugs, smoking, drinking, and back alley mods, and then end up with livers and kidneys that look like charred steak. Who could have guessed?
Is she also O negative?
I think she is.
That's it. Yep. They're the universal donor, baby.
Got no children because the Icaria killed them all. Can't get on the donor list because they're geriatric reviled crime lords. So, what do they do? Hey kid, wanna be a gangster? Let me see if you've got what it takes. Hold still while I prick your finger. They tattooed our torsos, cause even if you mod off all 4 limbs, you'll still pump clean plasma. Every drop an indicator of quality. I'm a universal donor, so I've got 3. AAA graded. Just like meat.
And Creek.
Save it for the trial, lady.
Are we done here, do you think?
Not quite. Also, shouldn't you also tell her about the knife? You can't matlock it. You have to declare that stuff before trial. I keep saying Matlock because that's a common thing that happened in that show. Is that Matlock would often go investigate crime scenes and then pull out evidence that he had found while investigating the scene at court. And you can't do that. That's what Discovery's for. Emma's argument is that Sosuke didn't escape from here. He was brought out into the other room to be questioned and then he broke free. I know that's not true. Sosuke would have been stuck here until the police arrived if I hadn't handed him the mag us to, well, frame him. And the knife, also to frame him, but secondarily so he could cut himself free from his bindings.
Those bloody rags there?
Remember what Sosuke told us when you first met? That he was bound here the whole time until his bad Samaritan came along.
And gave him a knife.
Now we know what knife he was talking about. And now I want to know whose blood this is.
The blood of the bindings? Have to belong to Sosuke, wouldn't it? All the other bodily fluids in this room do.
Probably. But I need to know. Didn't we determine that he wasn't... No, he did. AB-.
Mm-hmm.
right? Thankfully, both Morgan and Sosuke and
Rogers.
what's his name?
Rogers.
You could fit slaps roof of blood type. You could fit so many suspects here.
No! No!
You've already done it once. What's one more time?
One more time will surely make me sick. Please, Adonai, let us ask one of the Cyanus employees on standby to analyze it. You have a record for very fast turnaround on DNA tests, I promise. I can show you customer reviews.
Oh, that's right. Cyanus does DNA testing.
Typically, paternity tests is part of their private investigative services. But they have been assisting the police with DNA analysis on the scene. I'll flag the bindings to be analyzed.
Wait.
I've already made the request, Adonai. You insist on making me test the binding myself now, you'll only be upsetting my stomach to satisfy your own impatience.
Fine. But I'm going to cite this incident next time we discuss a raise. Really is a shithole in here, though, huh?
I agree with your sentiment, if not your choice of words.
This is going to sound... Okay, hold on. This is going to sound completely out of pocket, but I need you to know that it's asked with 100% sincerity, okay?
Yeah.
Do androids have mucous membranes? Like, there is a reason you don't put unknown shit near your mouth, near your eyes, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the way that stuff gets into your system, right? That's why you don't put random shit up your ass without cleaning it. Now, Sarah, as an android, was designed to have her DNA functionality where a mucous membrane would be on a normal person. If she does that, is she at risk of introducing foreign contaminants into her system? I told you it was going to sound out of pocket, but it is super reasonable to ask this, okay?
Can androids get cooties? The longest thread in the history of forums.
But you see why it's important to know that, right? They could have just given her, like, the little finger, like a little finger that, like, boop. Actually, no, they couldn't because she grew herself, but you get it, right? You get it. There were other ways to do this.
Feels like a cruel place.
Thread still ongoing after 10 years.
What is it? Is there something we missed in here, Adonai?
No, not in here. The windows. They were closed when Creek was shot. Still closed when Chopin and Rogers arrived on site. But they were open by the time Rogers got to this room. Because someone threw a knife out. I used that contradiction to argue for the presence of a third party.
Because someone must have opened them. To go down the fire escape.
Yeah, okay, Sarah, I'm kind of with Morgan on this one. It was for your own good that you didn't go out on that. And then what?
Must have dropped down to the alley and ran away, right?
Well, yeah. That is one option.
What's the other?
Would it kill them to do some sweeping around here? Noise!
Noise.
I know it says voice, but... because at this point it would be contaminating the crime scene. But then what the hell do all these cops and Cyanus chumps actually do? Lean on walls and screw around on their phones?
Hey, I just pulled an SSR. Oh, also, I think you're being a bit harsh in your assessment.
Sarah gets bored easily, so she mentally has Subway Surfers in the corner of her at all times.
But you are not alone in your criticism. Detective Reyes had much to say about how Cyanus employees were not wearing gloves and,
knocking over trash. If they had picked up trash, that'd be removing evidence. The arcs would light up. Adding trash, though.
Adonai?
Help me look through this.
Garbage again? Already?
Just start looking.
If any of it requires DNA analysis.
Wait, there. Red.
I don't smell any blood.
Not blood. Ink.
A torn page of the red ink documents. With what looks like a shoe print on it. Shall we try to match it to samples?
Good luck. Cops and security types all wear the same kinds of boots. On top of which 99 out of 100 shoes in the city are made by the same two Megs.
The print isn't useful. That just leaves the actual text, and that...
Looks like the letters were all run through the wash a couple dozen too many times.
Well, it isn't particularly informative.
Other than that, it's a way to argue that someone grabbed stuff from the scene of the crime, fled out the fire escape, but instead of leaving the building, ducked back in below to wait out for their moment, and then flee. I don't know that would make sense, though, because London said they did a full building clear on their way up.
Yeah.
But, it could be they waited until they heard the first responders run by and then dashed. Chopin and, no, because that had to come from underneath him. So how would
but they could certainly wait until they knew that both of them were upstairs, right?
Right, you're so right. They could wait till they knew both of them were upstairs, and then... Okay, so we've got a way to argue that someone also was there and also came in here.
Well, it isn't particularly informative. I don't understand exactly how this clue fits in with everything else we've seen. But doesn't this seem important?
Scrap of paper. A scrap of red ink document with a common type of boot print left on it, recovered from the room directly below the crime scene, was missed or disregarded by previous sweeps of the building that dismissed it as trash. Having been exposed to natural humidity for some time, the red ink is already illegible, but a watermark remains visible in the corner. So I don't even know that we're able to argue that that's from the same red ink documents.
Yep.
That would also have to be an assumption we make. But again, any reasonable doubt, right?
Yep.
How could it have been lying here neglected this whole time?
Nah, princess, I'll have to call you right back. Of course, wouldn't dream of it. Come on, you know me. What'd you find there? More dead men's garbage? Keep it up and you girls are gonna make me look bad.
Happy to be of assistance. So would you like to add this to the arcs, or should I?
Well, seems like you've got momentum going, so please don't let me get in your way.
You don't wear gloves on the job, Miss Han.
It's just Han, but you already know that.
Oh, negative.
You probably also know that they don't really make them in my size.
So we found your fingerprints in here on those windows or even upstairs.
Aw man, I'd be pretty embarrassed. We almost always get rated 5 stars. So, did you need me to walk you out?
I'll be fine, thank you.
Suit yourself. Just be careful you don't get lost. Sun will be going down soon. It can be hard to find your way back in the dark.
Yeah, okay. This idea is starting to look like a pretty safe bet. Maybe we can assume that they're adding this into the arcs as they go.
Mm-hmm.
That Morgan can add stuff, so maybe we can assume that Morgan's been adding, like, the knife and the stuff to the arcs.
Your theory that Chopin was assassinated as an attack on the old guard? But how can we confirm it? We still haven't met anyone from the old guard. Even if we had. It occurs to me they would be reluctant to speak with Sosuke Ikaria's legal team.
Don't be so pessimistic. The enemy of my enemy is usually willing to at least talk. And talk is where I do all my best work. You know, Diamante has had a very blue color scheme about him. I don't know that necessarily means anything, but it's funny. I like that we're highlighting this image here.
Where do we look then?
You still got that address boss gave us? Where are they going? Blue blood territory. All right, hold on. This is getting high real quick here, but you know what? This episode's done. That's right, it's done. It's over. We're ending it right now. What do you say to that?
Oh.
Anyway, I liked today's episode. Was fun. I had a lot of good time with that.
Yeah.
Please debate furiously in the comments below about androids and mucous membranes. I need to know. And the rest of us, we'll see you all later. Bye.
Peace.
Smash that like, comment and subscribe.